College Gym Vids fan going live on YouTube. Okay, I got the ESPN Plus app on my Roku streaming stick, and this is gonna be an Ivy League gymnastics meet that was on ESPN Plus. Bridgeport, SCSU, Springfield. So it's like a quad meet, not just. I'm gonna try to play it anyway. Oh, and it's Yale too.
191, 125 season highs in the uneven bars, balance beam, and floor routine.
And Coach Nelson.
I'm gonna get it to the beginning.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the John J. Lee Amphitheater on the campus of Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. This afternoon, we've got the Don Tonry Invitational Women's College Gymnastics for you as the Yale University Bulldogs host a quad meet for this invitational as well. Along with Yale, it's the University of Bridgeport, Southern Connecticut State University, and Springfield College. Along with Allison Gaskins, I'm Josh Hess. Now, Allison, there is quite a lot going on today, and of course, the main story is that it is the Don Tonry Invitational honoring the late Don Tonry, who was just so influential in creating a program here at Yale. He did create the program along with his wife, who is still the head coach here at Yale University. That's Barbara Tonry, the only head coach Yale has ever known since 1973, and it's a great atmosphere on hand today for this invitation.
And it's the 5th annual invitational honoring Don Tonry for the Bulldogs this season. It's a special meet. It means a lot to Barbara. When I talked to her about this meet, she just had so many positive things to say, and she just wants everyone to be able to remember what her husband was able to do for Yale gymnastics. He turned it from a club sport into a varsity level sport that was able to compete at one of the best levels, and both of them truly are the heart and soul of Yale gymnastics.
So we're pretty much ready to get started here at Yale University. To begin things, Yale is on the vault, Bridgeport on the uneven bars, Southern Connecticut on the balance beam, and Springfield the floor exercise this afternoon to begin. We've got a few minutes while the teams warm up ahead of the first event, Allison, but things are going to work a little differently than they did last week when Yale hosted the University of New Hampshire. That was just a dual meet. And today we've got action on every apparatus. Every exercise is going off at the same time.
Exactly. It will be simultaneous. So we'll try to get you as much coverage as we can of all 4 teams. Yale will be competing in the Olympic order. So vault, bars, beam, and the floor. And they will continue to rotate throughout. There will always be a 2 minutes between each rotation and a 4-minute touch warm-up. So what you see on your screen right now is that 4-minute touch warm-up. It's the last chance for the athletes to touch the apparatus, get the nerves out before they compete.
Well, let's take a look back at how some of these teams have competed recently, and we'll start with Yale. They put up their best team score of the season in the meet last week. That was 194.125 for Yale, their best score all season long by about a half point. And really last week for Yale, it was 2 events that carried them through season high scores in the bars and the floor routine.
But interestingly enough, for Yale, their all-around Jade Buford is only going to compete on the uneven bars today. She's typically going to compete all 4 events. However, it's the sophomore, Alyssa Firth, who will be competing all 4 events for the Bulldogs this evening. It'll be her first time of the season competing on the balance beam. She has only competed in exhibition this season, so she will have to definitely get those nerves out on beam and step it up as part of that rotation.
As we mentioned, Yale's coached by Barbara Tonry, who was married to the late Don Tonry, who this invitational is named after. She was the ECAC Coach of the Year back in 2017. Now let's move over to the University of Bridgeport. They're led by Byron Knox. He's in his 15th year leading the Purple Knights, 6-time USAG Collegiate National titles, second place in the 3 of the last 4 years, made the NCAA regionals back in 2013, the only one of 2 non-division 1 teams to qualify for the regionals. And he was a former
I think
assistant
this
both
is
at
just
Southern, which is
warm-ups.
here, and with the Bulldogs.
Like, you know,
Hosting
this
the meet is
girl's
Southern
warming
Pride.
up
Last
on the
week was best team
beam.
score for Bridgeport as well.
I don't think
They
the
scored over
rotation
195 points
started.
in their meet.
And
I think
actually,
this
Jeff
is just
spoke about
warm-ups.
10 seconds ago with head coach Barbara Tonry, who did confirm that Jade Buford is just going to get some rest this meet. Thank goodness it is not an injury, but they are trying to rest her up. So yes, she will only be competing on the uneven bars, which is a big thing for the Bulldogs because, as I mentioned, they do rely on Jade Buford to be one of their strongest, most consistent all-around athletes.
For University of Bridgeport, last week they set season highs in the vault, 48, 850, and in the floor routine, over 49 points there. So a good start for the season. University of Bridgeport and Yale moving over to Southern as well, the third of the 4 teams that are here this afternoon. Head coach Jerry Nelson is in his 15th year with Southern. 3-time ECAC champion, was the 2007 National Coach of the Year. Last year was the ECAC Coach of the Year, so he's got plenty of accolades. Great head coach. Last week against Brockport and Rhode Island College, they set a team high for the season as well. 191, 125 season highs in the uneven bars, balance beam, and floor routine.
And Coach Nelson, before the meet, was just talking about how proud he is of the team he has this season. He says they're off to one of the best starts in program history. They have a lot of confidence, and they're gelling well as a group of young women.
Finally, Springfield, they're led by Jen Najik in her 4th year as the warm-up period is over. They've only had 2 meets this season. Their second meet of the year was canceled, and as a team put up a 186.5 performance last week in their meet against Westchester.
And since Najik was able to take over the program at Springfield College, she has broken 7 program records. And last year, in the 2018 season, they set new program records on both beam and the floor exercise, as well as the team all around, getting a 189, 525. So they have yet to get into the 190 range, but that will be a goal for them this season.
So to start things off for Yale on the vault, it's Carly Israel who competed in the exhibition round last week for Yale, and now she gets the leadoff position in the vault.
For the exhibition, she competed a Yuchenko layout. She will stay with that small hop back, little pike down to the hips, but that is a good way to get started on the vault for Yale.
Now we'll move over to the bars with Bridgeport. It's Juliana Rowland.
On the bars, they're really looking for the athletes to hit their handstands. What a good double layout, dismount. The hips were flushed open. Again, a little small hop. You want to find that stick because that's the last thing that the judges will see in your routine.
Go to the floor. It's still the first routine for Springfield, Victoria Gendro.
Getting set for her first tumbling pass. Typically, the first pass will be the most difficult. Well executed. You want to stay in bounds. You want to be able to have that good core awareness. So you're using all 4 corners and the entire length of the floor. Dance elements also factored into the floor exercise. So you want to see that personality on floor. The judges will be factoring that into your final score. Front full, front tuck, just a little bit short, unable to get up on that rotation. You saw she fell back on her heels. Just not enough power to make it all the way around.
And Allison, too, we hear this music playing in the Lee Amphitheater this afternoon, and that is for the floor routine. Correct, the athlete on the floor routine gets to pick the music.
Yeah, and that's so much fun. That's where you're able to show your personality and what music you pick and what choreography you have on floor. And that was a good 1.5 Rudy to finish off her floor exercise. Way to clean it up and shake off that second pass on her third.
So we've got all the first athletes have competed. Carly Israel was the first on the vault for Yale. Now it's Anna Jennings who gets the honors, second for the Bulldogs.
Being a tuck full, and you can see she is excited about that. She had a pretty good landing, but she really got high off the vault table. She had a really good block, able to push out of her shoulders, get the full rotation. Good vault there for Anna Jennings.
Kelly Aycock now on the uneven bars for Bridgeport, getting her routine started.
Little arch there, lost her midsection. Straddle Jaeger, nice height. On those same bar release moves, you're looking for the height as well as the distance from the bar. You don't want to land on top of the bar, but just enough distance to land a straight line. Line change to a double back. Not a bad bar routine on that double back. You do want to see the second rotation get a bit higher than the first. But she is eating it up with her teammates. They're having a lot of fun out there.
Had a season high last week on the bars with a 9-8 finish, and it looked like she put together another solid routine, like you said, Allison.
And there's that Takacha. Finished up with a full turn straight into her double back dismount. Pulled her knees in tight, small hop forward, but she was able to control it.
Roxanne Trachtenberg gets set for the Bulldogs on the vault now. Season best 9.575 for the senior.
Trachtenberg will pick up being a Yuchenko full. A lot of speed. Looks like she changed that into a tuck full. I know previously she has done the Yuchenko full, which is in a straight body layout form. She drew the knees in. High of a 9.7 on the vault for Trachtenberg. Season high of a 9.575. But see here, you want to get those knees together right at the beginning and the end of that vault. She lost her form just a bit, able to pull it in. But Yale hitting solid right now on the vault.
Move over to bars once again, University of Bridgeport, Tamara Powell-Brown. Powell-Brown, a senior, a native of Rocky Hill, Connecticut, nearby, just a few minutes up the road, has a season high of 9.775 on the bars so far. A very good start to her year.
And she's been pretty consistent around that 9.7 range. However, in the last meet, she got a 9.175, so you want to see how she's able to rebound after that score. Going to keep that composure here. She'll start with a free hip. Moving up to the high bar, another free hip handstand. Failed a handstand. Beautiful form right now. You can see she looks so confident. Bars is really where she is able to excel. That handstand just a bit short. Flying full. Finish with a double back. And a near stuck landing for Powell-Brown.
Get the beam in Southern Connecticut with the vault in the background as well. There's a lot of action right now in the Lee Amphitheater.
Never stops, all four events happening at the same time. Good side aerial, able to pull her chest up. And on the beam, you have to work in all directions. Switch the feet jump. Next to a split three-quarter. Difficult jump series. Emptying 3 in a row. Full turn, nice and controlled. Sometimes the silent killer of the beam. The small movements of the small full turns. And just the dismount should be left. Back 1.5. And that'll post up a pretty big score there for Southern Connecticut.
Take a look back at the vault.
Alyssa Furt getting a Yuchenko full, good form, small pike down, little step back. But again, she really gets great height off those vaults.
We'll stay on the vault now with the Bulldogs. Rebecca Chong is up. Came in second against Penn in this event, 9.750 earlier in the year.
Giving a Yuchenko half. Start value of a 9.95. The waiting game is always the worst when you're standing there and you're just waiting for the judges to finish up their scoring from the athlete who went before you. You try to not get in your head. You try to keep visualizing your landings. You just want to keep yourself mentally prepared. As Rebecca Chong will get set for the vault. Nice speed. Jacob Hack. She really fought for that landing. was able to try to dig her toes down into the mat, and that was a good vault there for Rebecca Chong.
Moves back over to the floor routine. Springfield starts the meet on the floor. Their best team score on the floor exercise, 47-425. That came out in their first meet of the season.
Simply out on that first tumbling sequence. As we mentioned, you will see the athletes work at different levels on the floor, so you'll be standing, sitting, kneeling. You have to utilize all different levels. You also have to have that musicality. In all jumps, you want to see that 180-degree angle.
There's some remixes in here too with these songs. Not just one song, it's not the same tempo throughout the entire floor routine. They kind of changed it up according to the music and to gain some more points from the judges.
It's a definite performance. It's where you see the most personality in the sport of gymnastics. Finishing with a Rudy to a front tuck, another unfortunate fall that Springfield will now have to count in their top 5. Charlotte Cooperman for Yale just moments ago completed her vault.
Move back over to Southern Connecticut on the balance beam. Southern last week had their season high on the beam, 48-125.
Nice front aerial connected to a back handspring step out. Took a slight pause between. You want to see more fluidity there. Good split jump. You saw she made that full 180 degree. Staying composed. Which again, it's a good day on beam if you're able to stay on the entire time. Just 4 inches wide. Very difficult skills. Side aerial to a back full. Tough dismount.
In the background there, that's Rowan Palmer, the exhibition for Yale on the vault as well.
Yuchenko full.
We'll get another look here at the vault.
This is Charlotte Cooperman. She is in that anchor position in the 6th spot for Yale. Yuchenko full. And on that Yuchenko full, Yale has had an issue of just hiking down a bit at the end. But overall, Yale hit 6 for 6 on the vault. That was a Ginger unfortunate miss there, just a little too far away.
It's a live look now at the uneven bars and a nice landing for the Purple Knights.
Yeah, able to shake it off and finish up the routine. Very important. You have to have that short-term memory in the sport of gymnastics. You can't let it get to you. You can't get in your head if you make a mistake, because it'll continue to transcend throughout the rest of your routine.
Another look over at Springfield as they continue to resume the floor exercise. It's the longest of the 4 to get through. Yale already done with the vault. They're good to go for the next event as well. Looks like the other teams are slowly starting to wrap up on their events.
Floor and beam, each a minute 30 on the clock.
And a pause too between the athletes competing.
Judges taking their time trying to calculate the final score. Big double back to start off. Just landed a bit short, so I'll try to take a few steps forward. Take a little bit more power on that rotation. Wolf, full turn. Jump.
This is Taylor Campagnoni, by the way, for Springfield competing.
Front layout, front half. The stag jump. And a lot of times you will also see athletes on the floor exercise out of their tumbling pass, incorporate a jump. It'll help with the stick, minimize the deductions, as long as you have enough power and enough space. Tumbling sequence. A Rudy to a front tuck, good stick. Slight leg separation. team. Just the first tumbling pass, a little short on her double back, but besides that, able to clean it up and keep that momentum throughout.
Go back over to Bridgeport on the uneven bars.
Straddle Jaeger landed just a bit short on top of the bar. You saw she had to bend her elbows for the regrasp. Blind full turn. Finish with a double back dismount. Small hop.
That
Not
really
a big deduction.
and that really got the crowd going in the background during that floor routine. So now,
Feed off that energy as well.
and Allison, when we talk about the difference in timing between these events, the Bulldogs already done on the vault. Now, what they get that 2-minute period to switch and then the 4-minute touch warm-up period. But this is also an extended time to just kind of regroup. What's going on in that huddle for the team? What is the Bulldogs? What are they talking about right now to get set for the next event?
A lot of it is individualized. You'll take that time
Oh,
to
look,
visualize
there's a
your routine
gymnast
that's
with
up and running.
angel
So you
wings
don't want to get
on.
ahead of yourself for the Bulldogs and start thinking about the beam or the floor because they're moving the bars next. So right now you'll see a lot of them on the side just getting their grips on, beginning to get themselves mentally prepared to move over to the uneven bars. A free hip handstand on bars. Working our way back up to the high bar. Full turn, double back. You want to try to embrace that shock on the landing, and the landing is really created in the air. You have to find that form. You have to have that awareness of when to open up to try to control it.
I believe that was Regan Dillon on the uneven bars for Bridgeport, the exhibition routine. Now back over to the balance beam, Southern Connecticut.
Full jump, straddle 3/4 turn, jump.
Ooh,
Way to fight for
she
that
almost
landing.
Fell.
Will be a deduction,
was
but it's
Fighting
more of a
it.
deduction if you fall off. You just want to keep your composure, keep moving. Side area. Nice presentation. Double full dismount. Very difficult dismount and a great execution for a way to finish strong.
Switch back over to the floor exercise. Jessica Clemens for Springfield, probably their top all-around athlete. She's got quite a resume. Is a 2-time All-American in both the balance beam and uneven bars. Here she is on the floor routine. Competed in the all-around last week, so she can really do it all for Springfield.
She's working very confidently through this floor routine as well. One of the strongest floor routines we've seen yet from Springfield. Front 1.5, front tuck. Want to see a little bit better control in that landing. That should be a nice score.
Once again, that was Jess Clemens, 2-time All-American from South Nantucket, New York.
NCGA East Gymnast of the Year as well last year.
Was the all-around gymnast of the week this past week.
She started off that double pike, front layout, front half, to a split jump. Again, that helps you control the landing if you have the energy to throw that jump in the front Rudy, so front 1.5 connected to a front tuck. Just a little short, you saw she had to take that step back, maybe a little off her equilibrium, but was able to control it.
So Jessica Clemens all set on the floor exercise. Next for Springfield will be Allie Rushlow. Bridgeport still on the bars.
And Rushlow, 2018 All-American in the all-around for Springfield. Season high of a 9.675 on floor. And we'll switch over to beam for a second. Nice lines.
Jordan Polokin up on the beam.
Almost lost her balance there, a little balance check. Chest dropped a bit too low. The way to stay tight, front aerial, next to a back handspring step out. Nice and controlled, beautiful execution. Working through this beam routine very well. Again, on beam, you want to see that consistent movement. Again, another balance check, just kind of lost her core. Made a good save again. And on those saves, you really are just gripping the beam as strong as you can with your toes, doing everything to keep your body tight.
And they make it look pretty easy, Allison, but as you mentioned before the meet started, it's only a 4-inch beam across, so it is by no means easy.
It's hard to just walk across. We saw one of the Yale football players hop up at the top of the meet for a second. He immediately got off, I think, once he realized how difficult it was to even stand on top of it.
Nice finish on the beam. We'll go back over to Rushlow on the floor exercise.
Front 1.5, front tuck. Very powerful music as well. You want to hit those beats. Russia is doing a great job of that so far. Good height on her jump sequence. I would like to see a bit more smiles on floor from Springfield. Double back, a little low. Not able to get that rotation that she needed to land upright.
Looks like she came up limping a little bit, maybe a little bit of pain from a faulty landing.
It hurts a lot more when you're not able to land upright or when you have a fall. So she can shake it off. Hopefully it is nothing too serious.
Slight pause in the action here. Nobody up on any events at the moment. Got Bridgeport continuing their routine on the bars in just a second. Getting near the end of this first rotation. Once again, it's Yale on the ball. They've been done for a while. Bridgeport on the bars, SCSU on the beam, and Springfield on the floor exercise.
Again, that waiting game is so frustrating as an athlete sometimes. You're just ready to go. Whether it's an exhibition or not, you want to get going on your routine. And when there is a long pause like this, you can easily get into your head. So you have to have that strong mentality to just keep yourself composed.
Tali Toomey getting set for Springfield next on the floor routine. Native of Cotuit, Massachusetts on Cape Cod, and I think she's got the best gymnastics academy name out of anybody we've got on the meet, Flip Flops Gymnastics.
Yeah, that's a fun name. You can get a bit creative with those names of gymnastics academies.
Of course, when the academy is on Cape Cod, or she's from Cotuit, right in the middle of Cape Cod, then it makes sense to have something beach-related. Just waiting for her music to get going to begin her floor routine. You hear some cheers in the background from another solid Southern Connecticut beam routine.
It's really difficult also to start in a quad meet on balance beam. Sometimes you want to get those jitters out on the vault or the bars or floor, anything but beam. So when you have to start on beam and you're able to hit all 6x6 routines, it's a big confidence booster.
Is there almost an advantage of hosting the meet for Yale? Maybe they got to choose the order in which they wanted to compete or which event they wanted to start on?
And the host gets to work in that Olympic order. So that's the standard order of gymnastics. You're going vault, bars, beam, floor. That's what they do in the Olympics on any international competition. So yeah, there's definitely an advantage to hosting meet because you do get to compete in that traditional Olympic order. Huge double back. Check out the height on that.
Toomey's got a pretty good season high in the floor routine. 9.825 came in back in the first meet. Great start for her.
She also holds the program record at Springfield on the floor exercise with a 9.9. Helped her become the 2018 NCGA National Champion on the floor exercise. And this is why, look at the height. Almost lost control there, but she was able to reel it in.
Of course, just a junior, so she'll be back for another year to keep improving and maybe set a new program record.
And she had a lot of fun with this routine. You can tell in her presentation, she's smiling the entire time. She makes it look easy.
As something you just said too. You want to see some more smiles? Well, there you go, Tali Toomey.
Just dancing her way into this routine. Just one tumbling pass left for Toomey. Strong floor exercise there for Toomey. Season high of a 9.825, and that should post a very good score for Springfield. Which is why they leave her in that anchor position, that sixth position. That's really the spot where you want to dare the judges to give you the highest score in that rotation for your team. It's supposed to be the showstopper routine when you're in that sixth position.
Springfield now pretty much set on the floor routine, just the exhibition to go, but we'll get another look at Toomey.
This height on the double back. So much height, so much power, and she was able to find that awareness and open up just in time to find a good landing. You see here where she almost had too much power. She almost went out of bounds, but did a great job at controlling it and stepping back, staying inbounds, and really just controlling. Good last pass as well. She likes to connect them to that jump. It'll, again, help with the deductions that judges like to take off if you don't stick a landing.
Really nice recovery there when it seemed like she was about to fling herself out of bounds.
It is not easy to have a recovery like that. A lot of the times you'll see athletes actually go out of bounds in the same exact scenario. But Toomey doing a good job having that body awareness, was able to control that.
So just Mackenzie McLeod finally for Springfield, the exhibition exercise on the floor routine. McLeod has not yet competed this year in regular competition, but she does get a chance for that exhibition, which is just an opportunity to go in live competition. Doesn't get scored to count towards the team score, but nonetheless you're competing in front of judges, in front of spectators, and in front of, in this case, 3 other teams.
You get to also see how your routine scores with judges, what they're taking points off for, what adjustments you might need to make in your routine at a given time. And you'll see the judges having a conference right now in the middle of the floor. When scores are out of range, the judges will have to meet to discuss why they took points off or what, and just get on the same page and adjust those scores.
Well, what did you see when we were watching those replays, if you can remember?
It's 31 minutes into the meet.
From that last routine of
It's
something
like an
that
hour
caused the
and
discrepancy
something
for the
minutes
judges.
left.
Well, for Toomey, especially when it looked like she was about to jump out of bounds, they might not know how to score that last jump. I think on the double back, there's no issue scoring this. She had the height, she had beautiful form, she landed with her chest up. That was just an absolutely amazing execution. But this is the one where I think that they had maybe a discrepancy in how they're scoring it. Do you count it as a fall? Is she supposed to drop down to her knee? Did her knee go out of bounds? There's a lot of different elements that they're looking for. Really, it's that second tumbling pass that has confused the judges. Finished with a front full to a stag jump. A little sloppy on that execution. Not quite tight in the core. So they're just trying to clean up how they were judging, I believe, that second tumbling pass.
And of course, they don't have the advantage of replay and a slow-mo to see where her knee actually landed, and the judges sit on opposite sides of the floor, so one judge has a better angle to see where her knee may have gone compared to the other. A lot goes into it, as Mackenzie McLeod is now ready for her final exhibition exercise.
A great opportunity, really, again, in the exhibitions. I love that they allow the athletes to do this. It gives you that experience. It lets you get those jitters out. And your score doesn't count yet, but you learn so much from an exhibition routine. Also, one of the best things about the floor exercise are that your teammates do your entire dance with you, and you'll see it. You just have a lot of fun, and you feed off of each other's energy. Very engaging routine also with the music. definitely get a home crowd involved. Front 1.5 front tuck. Finish off with her third tumbling pass. And that will do it for, I believe, rotation 1 across the board.
A great start there on all fronts. All 4 teams had a good start. A couple of hiccups here and there. Of course, that's what's going to happen when you start off a quad meet and an invitational like this. A lot of pressure on all sides. May not be used to starting on a certain event. But nonetheless, that does it for our first rotation here in New Haven. We'll step aside, take a short break, and we've got a feature on Yale men's soccer's Nikki Downs, who signed a professional contract just a few. Geico.
There's an hour and 35 minutes left.
They started in rotation 1. Springfield had a couple falls on floor that they had to count, but they were able to pull it out, and Toomey had a great last floor routine for them. A couple of big passes, nice connections on bars. Bridgeport was just so dominant. Free hip to handstand there, nice and controlled. They didn't have to kind of fall. They did a really good job at trying to stick those landings. A couple times just a bit off, but overall solid bar rotation for Bridgeport. For Southern Connecticut on beam, they looked pretty good, but Yale getting just a 48.1 on vault. That is their lowest of the season. So that's something that they're going to have to try to make up for now on the uneven bars.
And the Bulldogs, too, over the last 2 weeks have gone down about 0.2 points in the vault as well. They started off the season 48.35 range, and then last week 48.175, and now 48.1 this afternoon. So not a hot start for Yale. On the other side for Bridgeport, they did well on the uneven bars, season high of 48.725, came away with a 48.850. So that's a season high for Bridgeport on the bars.
And for Bridgeport, that's really going to set the pace for this meet. They started off strong on the uneven bars, but you'll want to see how they can keep that momentum going here on balance beam, because that's the silent killer of the 4 events. We know that. That's where the most mistakes are made. So if they're able to keep that composure going from the bars to the balance beam, then they have a really good shot at staying in the lead.
Kelly Tereshko set a new season high for herself, a 9.825 on the bars. Her first time around. Her previous season high was a 9.775, which she set last week. So she continues to improve for Bridgeport, the graduate student who transferred over from Ball State in Indiana.
Both teams done with that 4-minute touch warm-up. Bridgeport will get started right away on balance beam.
On the second rotation, it's Bridgeport on the beam, SCSU moves to the floor, Yale on the bars, and Springfield over to the vault following their start on the floor routine. And right now for Bridgeport, it's Delaney Cahill who begins on the beam.
When you're in that lead-off position, they are expecting you to hit, set the pace, especially on balance beam. That is where the lead-off spot is the most important. So they're trusting Delaney Cahill with a lot here in that leadoff spot.
Had a 9.825 last week, well above her season average.
Have to have that strong mind. All about control. Switching it. The split jump. They are also judging your motions on beams. They want to see strong, deliberate hand placements. Shoulders lifted. If you drop a shoulder, it's a little bit of a balance check. Those will be taken as deductions. Side aerial tuck full. Dismount. She just took a deep breath at the end of that routine. That's exactly what you want want from your leadoff. You're not necessarily expecting to get the biggest score of the rotation, but you want them to hit. That is exactly what Cahill just did.
Take another look back at that Cahill dismount.
Straight from a side aerial, some bent legs, and the tuck pull. You see she zeroed in on that landing. Here's Alyssa Firth with a double back dismount. And that was a stuck landing from Alyssa Firth.
She fires up all of her teammates as well. Next up on the bars is Lindsay Chia for the Bulldogs.
First-year athlete who's been battling a bit with a hip injury before their first meet of the season, but she is an all-around athlete, so they're working to get her back to all 4 events and healthy.
At a 9.650 against Penn a few weeks ago for her season high on the bars.
She'll be doing also an exhibition later on the balance beam, which is her favorite, get this, her favorite event. Not many people say that balance beam is their favorite event, but Lindsay Chia knows what she likes. Springfield looks pretty solid on the vault to get started.
Yeah, that was Jessica Clemens, who we just saw. Hopefully we'll get a replay of her vault in just a moment, but as we talked about during her floor routine, one of the top all-around athletes for Springfield, and now we will get another look.
A lot of speed. Then on vault, you're looking for distance from the table as well as height. Just Yevchenko layout.
Go back to the balance beam, University of Bridgeport.
Solid flight series. Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. Nice chest lifted. Beautiful lines as well. You see the toe point and everything she does. Bridgeport really looking very confident in this meet. Working the entire length of the beam. Prepping now for the dismount. Round off back 1.5. Top forward at the end, but another hit routine for Bridgeport on beam.
While that was going on, we'll get another highlight from the Bulldogs on the bars.
Toe on handstand, turn, straddle Jaeger. Look like Chia did a pretty good job in this routine. Finished with a toe on, front half, dismount.
Once again, got our teammates fired up. Seems like that usually happens over on the bars. That's the event that'll really fire your teammates up, get them into it as well. We saw in the floor routine that the teammates are dancing along, and at the vault, everybody's standing behind. At the balance beam, nobody's really near you as well. So really close quarters for the dismount after you come off the uneven bars, and we get a nice look at the teammates as well.
Interesting you point that out. There is a different atmosphere surrounding each apparatus. Where your teammates stand, how they cheer you on.
Heather Gomes on the vault right there for Springfield.
She got a lot of block off the table, a lot of height on that ball.
Once again, the judges are talking over the floor routine to try to straighten something out. Slight delay there.
Times on floor already as well in this meet. When Springfield was over there on floor, we saw a couple of the judge conferences, and the scores are out of range. Again, that's when that will happen. Judges just trying to make sure they're all on the same page.
So here's Juliana Rowland for Bridgeport now on the beam.
Solid full turn. Working the beam very well. Strong flight series. Little cat leap, side aerial.
The background there, you got to look at Allie Rushlow for Springfield on the vault.
Deep breath before the dismount. 2 jumps connected to the back tuck. I'll get you bonus points with that connection. Now comes the dismount. Double back dismount. So a double full to finish off another solid routine for Bridgeport. Bridgeport keeps this up on beam. It will be very difficult to catch up to them. Here's Jade Buford on the uneven bars for Yale. Buford only competing bars today, typically the all-around, as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast. Good full-in dismount, a lot of height. Hop back. So you see Jason Collins, assistant head coach for Yale, also happy with that routine. Able to get Buford a good score for Yale.
This is the second routine for Southern on the floor. Cassidy Girolamo.
From handstand front full front tuck for that first pass. You do have to have a good variety of elements. So a lot of the times you will see the athletes tumble both forwards and backwards. Good distribution of elements as well on the floor exercise.
She had a really good meet against Brown a few weeks ago. Set season highs in every event, including a 9.625 on the floor.
And you'll see that happen a lot, especially in the sport of gymnastics, where you're just rocking it one week. You're on, you're hitting it, you feel good, and you'll get all season highs on bars, a very high and strong ganger.
Roxanne Trachtenberg for the Bulldogs on the bars.
You won't see that release move very often at this level. Double leg dismount.
Very solid routine.
Very difficult routine as well, especially with that ganger where we're doing a back salsa with a half twist. A lot of the times you'll see the Jaegers. The Trachtenberg has a very nice same bar release move.
Here's the sophomore Catherine Duran from Oakville, Ontario, Canada.
Switch move, split jump. And on beam, it should also always look effortless. You want to see consistent movement. No, what they call now concentration pauses, where you pause for over the length of 2 seconds. Judges will take that deduction. The nice movement here on beam.
Springfield has run through everything on the vault. They're all set. Nice dismount as well for Bridgeport.
1.5. Good. For the dismount.
Bulldogs still competing on the bars. JC Baldovino up next for Yale.
Baldovino has the ability to get a very big score on this event. She is coming off a 9.8 in her last meet against University of New Hampshire for Yale. Career high. Last season of a 9.85. She was the ECAC Rookie of the Year as well, and well deserved. She had a very strong first year at Yale last year. Blind change to a pike Jaeger. Well, too close to the bar on that release. She didn't have enough distance for the re-grab.
Take another look here.
On that pike Jaeger, you want to release at your highest point. You can see just a little too much on top of the bar. She wasn't able to get a good grip.
They've got that extra mat underneath that sometimes they'll slide in and out, and whoever was doing it thought that she had landed it cleanly. Unfortunately, just pulled it out a little too quickly. But you'll see that in a few different events on the floor routine as well, that you can put an extra mat as long as it's in bounds. No part of it goes out of bounds that the athletes will touch. It's just another safety precaution.
Exactly. And on bars, you have 45 seconds to get back up after a fall. With Baldovino getting up quicker than that. To give you those 45 seconds to just rebuild that stamina, because it takes a lot of energy to perform a bar routine. Way to get back up there and finish strong for JC Baldovino.
A beautifully stuck landing at the end following a fall earlier on in the routine.
Unfortunately, that fall will be a 5/10 deduction. So Yale will not want anyone else to fall, because then they will have to count one of their top 5 scorers.
This is Maya Reimers now on the beam for Bridgeport.
Bridgeport looking very solid. Incredible series connections there.
It's the Purple Knights team coming off their best score of the season against Brown last time out, 195-075.
So much height and power on that dismount. No issue getting the full twist, the double twist in, rather.
Did have a fall though earlier on in the routine. Allison, what went wrong here?
Handspring step out, layout step out. You can see she just kind of lost her balance, her equilibrium. As soon as you drop a shoulder, your hip lifts a little bit or drops down, you just completely lose that balance. Any inch makes a huge difference, but that double twisting dismount was a way to finish strong.
Now Jessica Wang, the last competitor that will count for the Bulldogs. Still have Kendall Toy, who does the exhibition up next for Yale. But first, it's the senior from Chino Hills as the last Yale competitor on the bars that will count towards the score.
Jessica Wang is the anchor on this event for very good reasons. Back-to-back 9.85. As SDSU continues on floor.
It's Jordan Pelican on the floor for Southern. We'll take a look at that in just a few moments.
To a blind change, straight to a Jaeger. Good free grasp. Nice head as well. Free hip handstand. A bail down to a handstand, transitioning to the low bar. She'll work her way back up. She's also a very difficult dismount. It'll be a full in dismount. So a full twist while you twist the other way as well. So a lot going on in that full in dismount for Jessica Wang.
Looked like it was too easy for her the way she made it look there. A beautiful landing for the final Yale competitor to count towards the score.
That's what she does. She pulls out a very difficult, strong routine.
Take another look back at this dismount.
The full in dismount. Well above the bar, and that's what you want to see on a dismount. You want to see the height go above the high bar, and great awareness as well where she was able to open up and find her landing.
Jordan Pelican just finishes up her floor routine. Back over to the bar for Bridgeport. Jordan Street, the last competitor that counts towards the score.
And unfortunately, she had a fall just moments ago, so having to shake that off, and Bridgeport now will have to count a fall in their total beam score. Again, 6 athletes compete on each event. Top 5 scores count. And I do love that about the Bridgeport team. They all have that little fanning themselves in it. 1.5 twist dismount.
Seems a little disappointed with herself following that routine. Not that big smile that we see from a routine that doesn't include a fall. But nonetheless, that's what happens in some of these competitions. Now just the exhibition remains for Bridgeport. That will be Nicole Javinet in just a few moments. After Kendall Toy goes for Yale on the unaided bar. She's the exhibition athlete for Yale in that event. And for Southern, they still got a few more athletes to go on the floor routine. Keeley Brothers will go next. Take a look back at Jordan Pelican's highlights.
Front 1.5, front pike landed short, dropping almost down to her heel. Last pass. Able to keep that composure. As the Owls continue on floor.
Keeley Brothers going for Southern.
Lost a bit of her control there. Switch side. Also showing off that personality. Again, you just love to see that on floor. Teammates get involved. You have a lot of fun in your routine. Difficult last pass. but well executed.
Nice finish in the floor routine with some personality as well. At the same time, Nicole Javanet finishes up her exhibition routine from the balance beam, gets a nice reaction from her teammates and her coach over on the sideline as well. So the three events, not the floor exercise, are all complete here in this second rotation. Just a couple more athletes to go for Southern before they are ready to move on.
You'll also see in the bottom left corner of your screen for SCSU, they do get wings and they complete a solid routine and are able to hit. So the wings being awarded.
Seen that on a few different occasions with their last event as well when they were on the balance beam. So now we've got Hannah Stahlbrook ready to go for Southern. She is the last athlete that will count towards the score. Then it's Isabella Antangeli who will compete in the exhibition for the Owls.
Exhibition's already finished up on beam and bars. Both has been done for quite some time. Again, getting a bit of a break.
Stahlbrook, the freshman from Cicero, New York, went to Cicero North Syracuse High School. Season high on the floor routine, a very good score, 9.825. Has competed in the all-around as well, so she can do it all. Not afraid to be the cleanup hitter in this case for Southern on the floor exercise.
Not a lot of the times you do see the all-arounds, also double as the anchor. Typically, an all-around athlete gets a very high score in all four events, but not necessarily the highest compared to an athlete who is specialized in one given event.
Last year at this event, the Downtown Invitational as a whole, they finished third out of four teams with a 191.825. Their highest score over the 4 years that they competed at the Downtown Invitational.
I love that sequence she just did. Very different, very unique. And utilizing the levels where you lie down on the floor, you stand up, you utilize all those different levels. And she did a good job there making it very interesting. Back whip. To a double twisting full.
Got a big smile on her face as well. Saw that from a well-executed pass.
And doesn't feel any better than when you're able to get to that third pass. You have enough energy, you have enough momentum, and you finish off strong. It's really difficult because sometimes you do lose that adrenaline or you do lose that energy when it comes to that third pass, which is why the majority of the times you will see the most difficult tumbling pass come first. But when you can finish strong, get a lot of height on that last pass, open up, find the landing, you feel really good after it.
One final routine now for Southern on the floor exercise. That's Isabella Antangeli. And we talked about a few moments ago that for this exhibition routine, it's just a chance to compete in live competition. But in this case, because the floor exercise is taking so much longer than the other exercises, you really have all eyes on you. It's not just you're doing it to get the jitters out for yourself in real competition. You've got all the spectators and all the other athletes also watching your exhibition routine.
That's a bit of stress, but for a performer, they'll feed off of that. They'll be like, all right, everyone is sitting here watching me. It's my turn to put on a show. see how it is handled. Some of the highlights. I believe that was Brothers. And then
Stahlrod, who just went. Here she is on her last pass as well.
that back whip to a double twisting back. And again, that smile to finish up the routine. She knew she hit all 3 passes.
So here's Antonagelli, the junior from West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. This is her first time this season competing in the floor routine, competed in the uneven bars over the first 2 meets. Makes sense then why she would get a chance for the exhibition here. Live competition action in an event that she hasn't competed in yet this season.
A little too much distance on that double back. You want to see more height. She got a little too much distance, and you saw she landed with her chest low. Something she'll be able to clean up. But yeah, getting that experience here, important for all teams really to work on their depth in their roster in case an injury comes about. You always want to be prepared. You want to have a couple backups on each event, especially when you're getting to the middle or later end of a season when bodies are tired and more fatigued. But it is a lot to compete week after week.
See her teammates dancing along with her. Even though she can't see it, she can feel their presence urging her on in this routine.
100%. It happens at practice, it happens in competition. Again, it's that energy that you're just able to feed off of. Front layout, front full, but again, a little short, not having the height that she needed off the floor in her punch.
Just the exhibition routine, however, for Southern, so that will not be scored to count towards the rest of the team score. And that does it for our second rotation. It was a good look at all teams. Now 2 events done, 2 more to go. Everybody will rotate. We'll step aside for just a moment. We've got a Yale basketball feature this time on James Jones, who recently picked up his 300th career victory.
Shopping is a personal pleasure, and your favorite brands are easy to find. There are award-winning restaurants around every corner, and parking is always easy. Join visitors from all over the region and explore more than 60 shops and restaurants, plus world-renowned museums, galleries, and theaters. For more information, visit the shops at Yale.com.
Back at the Don Tonry Invitational at the John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Haven, Connecticut. Yale, Bridgeport, Southern Connecticut State, and Springfield, the 4 teams competing in this year's Invitational. We are halfway through this meet. We'll take a look at the scores to go along for the first 2 rotations. We'll take a look at the highlights first before the stats. Allison, what did you see here in this second rotation that really stood out?
Well, SDSU looked pretty good on floor. They got a lot of height on their tumbling passes throughout. They put on a really good show. But the biggest thing that really stands out to me, which we'll get to in just a second, is the balance beam for Bridgeport. But first for Yale, they were able to climb their way back in the scores with some big bar routines, really from Roxanne Trachtenberg as well as Jessica Wang, finishing with a 9.825 each. But on balance beam, after coming off a very strong first rotation on the uneven bars, they moved over to the beam. They had 3 solid first routines, but after that, a fall, and they had to count some low 9.2s into their overall score. So the overall for Bridgeport falling down. Springfield looking good on vault. But Springfield still trying to catch up in the overall score.
Springfield on that vault scored as a team 47-4-25. Here are the overall scores. Yale retakes the lead in first, 96-7-7-5. Bridgeport in second, 96-350. It's close there as Southern right on their heels, 96-125, and Springfield playing catch up now, 93-925 after two events. Take a look at, well, we'll give you those individual scores mentioned. Springfield 47-425 in the vault. Their high score was Taylor Jackson 9575. For Southern Connecticut on the beam, they scored 47-7. On the floor, they scored 48-425. They had two high scores. There was Jordan Pelican at 9725 and Hannah Stahlbrod at 9725 as well. For Bridgeport on the beam, they scored 47-5 as a team. Their high score was Juliana Rowland, 975. And for Yale on the bars, a nice score, 48-675 as a team on the bars. That is a new season high for Yale, 48-675. Roxanne Trachtenberg and Jessica Wade each scored 9-825.
And that was what did it for the Bulldogs. Those two big stellar routines from both Trachtenberg and Wang. They were able to put up those big scores, and that helped them climb back to retake the lead. But now important that they can transfer that over to the balance beam, which we saw Bridgeport fall apart a bit on the balance beam. So can Yale keep that momentum up, and can they remain successful here?
Third rotation now, Southern on the vault, Springfield on the bars, Yale on the beam, and Bridgeport on the floor exercise. So we'll start with a look at Bridgeport on their first event here, the floor exercise. Molly Grau will start for the Purple Knights. Start her event right away before all the others. Once again, this is Molly Grau, the sophomore from New Jersey.
Bridgeport having to shake off some of those falls that they had on balance beam. This is the place to do it on floor. Get that momentum, regain that energy. Charlotte Cooperman simultaneously competing on balance beam for Yale. Take a look back at some of her highlights. And she has a very interesting story, which we'll get to in just a moment, for Charlotte Cooperman. But there's that fanning yourself dance move that the Purple Knights have been using all meet long. Another good tumbling sequence. A lot of power. Important for that lead-off athlete to be able to just hit all three passes, keep your chest lifted, get a hit routine, start off on the right foot. That 1.5 front tuck might have taken a step out of bounds. That's a 10th deduction for each step out of bounds.
Pretty much everybody's first routine ended at the same time. Taylor Jackson on the uneven bars for Springfield. Katie Borsellino on the vault for SCSU. And as you mentioned, Allison Charlotte Cooperman just finished up on the balance beam for Yale. Next up is Kiara Elaine for the Bulldogs.
So Charlotte Cooperman last year had an injury where she did a no-hand beam routine. So she still competed beam, but without her hands. So this year she said, I'm finally able to do the beam routine that I want to do. Good back handspring, step out, layout, step out, little balance check again, drop the shoulders over to the right side. But was able to square them off and finish strong.
Definitely helps to have the use of your hands in the beam routine. There you can add a little bit more flair to it, incorporate some other elements into the balance beam as well.
Front handspring, front tuck. Happening on a vault you just saw in the back of your picture.
That's Bella Lanata for SCSU, just completed her pass.
Start value of 9.9. Count as a fall.
She came up a little short on the landing there as Kiara Elaine ready to take over on the balance beam for the Bulldogs.
The senior captain for the Bulldogs this year, and she's so sweet. She has such a good personality. When I got to attend their practice, she was just such a great leader. Everyone was able to listen to her. She was so organized, and she had the entire team in smiles. They're just getting everyone pumped up for the upcoming meet.
Kelly Tereshko has started her floor routine for the Purple Knights. That's her in the background, the music that you can hear in the Lee Amphitheater as well. Now Kiara Elaine takes her spot on the beam. Sarah Murphy also almost ready to go on the bars for Springfield.
She'll start right off the bat in this routine with her back handspring layout. Back handspring step out, layout, step out. She's very consistent as well on the balance beam. There's a lot of strength and a lot of power and a lot of awareness. Side aerial, again, a balance check. And not often do you see Elaine ever fall off the balance beam. Just lost her composure, lost her chest on that side aerial. Cat leap. Switch side. She's a competitor and she will be able to shake that off. Full turn. Remaining solid. Deep jump. Split full. Difficult jump connection. Just the dismount remaining now for Elaine. It'll be a front full. Small step back with that left foot. You want to see that stuck landing. She had her hips where they needed to be. She landed up high, but still was able to take that step back, which will be a slight deduction.
Take a look back at the floor routine from Kelly Tereshko.
Tereshko getting height on that double pike. Not controlling the landing as much as you would like to see, but good height, good sequence there with the double back. And our third and final pass. Rudy, back whip. Full front 1.5 to a back whip. Finish strong.
We're playing at her teammates as well right at the end of the routine. This is Alana Calabrese for Springfield, the third competitor to go in the uneven bars. In the background, Alyssa Firth, almost set to go for Yale on the balance beam. We've had 4 competitors go for Southern already on the vault. And Kelly Aycock on the floor starts now for Bridgeport, their third competitor.
And when we get to Alyssa Firth over on balance beam, she's only done an exhibition on this event. She has yet to compete this season on balance beam, but tonight she is doing the all-around. But on floor for Bridgeport. Starting off with a good first pass. Traveled just a bit too far forward. You want to get your feet right underneath you on those landings. But I like the smiles. I like the personality that's coming out. Rudy Bud Pike.
Aycock set a new season high with a 9.875 last week in her floor routine.
She's looking confident on this event. After you get a big score like that confidence will continue to your next meet. You can feed off of that. Her teammates very involved in that routine as well.
Go over to Alyssa Firth on the beam midway through her routine.
Switch sweep. The switch half, feet jump. And I love the competitor that Alyssa Firth has become. Really in her first year, and now as a sophomore, it's been just continued to build.
A little rough on her landing there for Yale, so that is 3 competitors down for the Bulldogs.
I haven't seen a lot of stuff landings yet in this meet. Alyssa Firth had a fall early on. She got back up, composed her mind, was able to finish. Won't be the best score she could post, but for the first time competing beam this season, that'll get the jitters out.
Southern pretty much all set on their vault routine. That is the fastest event so far. Tiffany Coleman for the Owls.
Front handspring, front pike. Great form on that front pike. Almost over-rotated. She needed to open up just a half second earlier, and she would have found that landing.
Another floor routine. This is Juliana Rowland for Bridgeport. Rowland season high on the floor, a solid 9.8.
Double pike. Not able to step out of bounds with that left foot. Almost too much energy, too much height. You have to find that control, harness the adrenaline, and use it to your advantage. Don't let it pull you out of bounds. Easier said than done, of course. Front layout, front full. Continuing well in this floor exercise. Bridgeport definitely looks more confident on floors than they did on beams, so that's an improvement from one apparatus to the next. And setting up for her last tumbling sequence, a back handspring, double back. Chest up proud, nice landing. Bridgeport remaining strong on floor.
Take a look over at Jessica Wang on the balance beam for the Bulldogs, senior from California. Couldn't finish her routine with a stuck landing. Looks a little disappointed at the end there as well. So two more competitors for the Bulldogs. Next up is Emma Firmstone.
Front aerial there, connected to a back handspring step out, layout step out. Another fall that Yale unfortunately has had now on beam. And most likely that will be the drop score with two falls coming from Wang.
Well, you talked about it early on, Allison, that this is usually the toughest event to have, especially when you start on it, but it's very intimidating. And a conversation with Barbara Tonry there and her next athlete, Emma Firmstone.
Important that Coach Tonry was able to take that time and talk with Firmstone, because having to go after multiple falls get in your head a bit. So she wanted to make sure that Firmstone was strong-minded and that she was ready to go compete. To feel that pressure, to have a really good routine.
As Lena Morant getting set for Springfield after a slight delay on the uneven bars. She'll be the fourth competitor to go when she does begin her routine.
On bars, mounting up to the high bar, free hip handstands. And on bars, you're really looking again for that fluid motion, so the bar routine consistently is moving. You want to see those hip handstands and form in the air. I believe that was going to be a double layout dismount, but the hips were piped.
Crystal Gwynn on the floor routine for the Purple Knights. Got her teammates involved with a little double clap there to get a UB chant. This is a routine that the other UB athletes are really getting into on the sideline. Just a freshman from Florida.
Double back. Travel just a bit too far back on that. Again, it's that landing that has been difficult to control for Bridgeport on floor. Landings, as we mentioned earlier, are created in the air. Created when you can find that awareness and find when to open up so you can land with your feet right underneath you.
Win very solid on the floor routine. Season high 9.875 last week. Averages a 9.788 on the floor.
Front 1.5 front layout. And the floor is looking good there for a finish.
All set on the floor for Gwynn's routine. Firmstone just finished her balance beam routine. Hopefully we can get some highlights there. The junior from Pennsylvania. Solid performance, gets mobbed by her teammates as well.
Caught her 1.5 dismount. We'll check out some of the other highlights. Back handspring, step out, layout, step out. And that balance check happening. Really good first meet on balance beam, but since then it's been difficult to find that same rhythm. Finishing with that back 1.5.
Got a pep talk from her coach right before her routine as well. Really felt like the pressure was on in that situation as we move over to the bars. Taylor Campagnoni. Another solid routine for Springfield in the event.
Baldovino now getting set to go on beam. Baldovino with the season high from that first meet with a 9.775. Career high though of a 9.925. Last year as a first-year athlete at Yale, she was able to pull that big score out. Part of the reason why she was the ECAC Rookie of the Year.
Not an easy accolade to get. This is a very competitive area of the country when it comes to gymnastics.
She was the second team All-American as well on balance beam. There's a lot of accolades on this event. And I love watching Baldovino compete. So solid. Nice flight series. And her beam routine just looks so effortless. Baldovino does a great job at not showing the work on her face either.
I was about to say a really relaxed face.
Switch ring to a beat jump. Very difficult.
Very loose but composed at the same time.
Exactly, and that is what a beam routine should look like. Effortless, but very strong. You can see how she presents herself as well. She always has her chest lifted up proud. She makes every move very deliberate. This is why she's the anchor. Catley to a gainer full dismount. Stuck landing. What an incredible routine you just saw there from JC Baldovino. She was able to pick it up after Yale had a couple falls on this apparatus. But she went up there so strong, so composed. You check out this gainer full, stuck landing, no deduction for drawing your heels together, so that is the definition of a stick.
Made it look so easy. You and I could do that, Allison. I think that was one of the best bar routines we've seen, or beam routines we've seen all afternoon here at the Lee Amphitheater.
That was a gainer connected straight to a bail down.
How much is left? 45 minutes.
Low bar. Bonus points there on bars.
This is a long meet.
And another stuck landing. Double back dismount. Very difficult bar series that we just saw.
Here's a replay of Maya Reamer's floor routine for the Purple Knights.
A lot of height for that first pass. And that's what you want to see on floor. You want to see the height. You want to see the form in the air. That's what the judges are looking for, as well as the landing out of the pass.
Now we're getting into that exhibition time here, although the vault has been completed for a while for the Bulldogs on the balance beam. It's Lindsay Chia gets the exhibition. Alexis Richardson will be doing the exhibition in just a few moments for Bridgeport on the floor exercise, and Leah Jewett on the uneven bars for Springfield. So we've got the floor routine. Alexis Richardson going on in the background there. You can see Lindsay Chia getting set to take on the balance beam.
Double back. A little short on that landing. On the floor exercise. We'll take a look closer now. Dancing into the corner. A whip back to 1.5. Switch side. Straddle half. You really do see some unique moves when the athletes are getting down to the floor level.
Back over to Lindsay Chia on the balance beam for Yale.
I mentioned before, this is her favorite event. Right now, only competing bars, but she wants to be in that beam lineup. And she's proving to Coach Barbachonry right now. Maybe you put her in there. She's looking solid. She's clean. But she did have that hip injury at the beginning of the season that she's been working through.
The uneven bars exhibition is all set.
Side aerial.
So
All done, and
tired.
there's Shia completing the dismount there to finish up this third rotation.
She just proved to Coach Connery, put me in the lineup. I'm consistent. I can hit it. That was a good exhibition for Lindsay Chia.
A lot of solid elements all around on that third rotation. We've got one more pass to go, but before that, we'll take a look at Yale's men's lacrosse championship, their first NCAA championship in men's lacrosse that happened
Bridgeport, SCSU, Springfield, and Yale Women's Gymnastics W Gymnastics. Bridgeport, SCSU, Springfield, and Yale Women's Gymnastics.
I don't know
W
why it's
Gymnastics.
saying the event has ended. That was only the third rotation.
Firmstone is getting started right away on floor for Yale.
doesn't waste any time.
Double pike. A lot of height, good control, and that's what you want to see, especially from Emma Firmstone as your lead-off on floor exercise. They need all 6 athletes to really hit their routines on floor.
Native of northeastern Pennsylvania. Right at the same time, Maya Reimers begins for Bridgeport on the vault.
Front 1.5, front layout. Firmstone looking really good right now on floor. In that lead-off position again, you really want that consistency. You want someone who's mentally tough and is confident in their abilities.
Well, the pressure's on both of these schools right now, Yale and Bridgeport. It's not just Yale hoping for a Bridgeport ball or Bridgeport hoping for a Yale missed jump or a missed pass or something like that. It comes down to both of these teams executing in the fourth pass.
More deep breath before a final tumbling pass. And that was a hit routine for Yale. Exactly what Coach Barbachonry wanted to happen, starting off this floor exercise.
Senior from Atlanta, Georgia, up next for the University of Bridgeport.
Maritza.
Long pause, and now she heads down towards the vault.
Beating Yuchenko full, not enough height to get all the way around. She'll land on her knees, and that is a landing that stings.
You really hear the silence of the Bridgeport squad after that. Take a look back at the first vault for Bridgeport, Maya Reimers.
That's that Yuchenko, full. Pike down a bit on the end. You want the hips to stay open the entire length of that vault. But she hit the first vault, second vault, unfortunate fall. Bridgeport would want that to be their drop score, so they will want now everyone else to hit 4-4.
JC Baldovino ready to go for Yale, the second athlete to compete in the floor exercise.
First time competing this season for Yale on floor. She's only done an exhibition before, but she does have a career high of a 9.825 from last season. On her back handspring, double pike. Good rotation, able to stay in bounds. Again, that's key, especially with the power that Baldovino has. To harness it, to control it. And she did just that.
The big cheer in the background from a nice stuck landing on the vault from Barbara Dykakis. Another big cheer for Southern.
Front full for Baldovino. Looking good.
Southern cheering a successful routine from Cassidy Girolamo on the parallel bars.
Got 2.5. A little short on that rotation. You saw she tried to square her shoulders off extremely quickly. Try to fake the judges out. Another solid hit routine for Yale, which is so important again if they want to try to climb back and top Bridgeport.
Another look at the vault. Crystal Gwynn about to head down.
Another Yuchenko full, star value 9.95. The poses for the pictures.
Just a freshman. We saw her nail down a very solid floor routine a few rotations ago.
Bridgeport has some good vaults in the Yuchenko full.
This is the Dykakis fault.
The biggest thing is that they're all piking down a bit at the end. That's something, if you get a little bit higher, a better block off the table, just pushing through your shoulders, you get a better rotation in the air, and you have time to open up to find that landing with your hips opened up instead of pikes down.
Go back over to the bars, and Jacqueline Kutcher is up now for Southern, their third athlete to compete in this final rotation. Purple Knights nearly done with the vault. Yale still going on the floor. They're ready for their third athlete as Kutcher goes on her routine.
Just lost form in that ganger, that same bar release move. We're doing a back salto with a half turn. Bail down the low bar. You want to land that in a handstand with your legs together. So some leg separation on bars here for Southern Connecticut. Blind full turn, double back. But a stuck landing, and that is the last thing the judges remember. You glue your feet into the mat, you get that stuck landing.
Here's Charlotte Kugerman for the Bulldogs, sophomore from Massachusetts. Nearly stepped out of bounds on her last pass through. That was not on camera during the uneven bars. Nonetheless, gets set for another.
This will be her double pike. Good awareness and that open for the landing. Just a tad low. I've seen her land that better before. But she has been consistent this season on floor. 9.7, 9.75. And that consistency is so important for Yale because they can rely on Cooperman to hit. Pass. Front. 1.5. Normally she'll add on to that, but just a Rudy.
We're right back over to Bridgeport on the vault. Big cheer from the squad.
I'll tell you one thing though, the team for Bridgeport, the most vocal team out here. A lot of energy and a lot of support coming from their sidelines.
It was Juliana Rowland who just went for Bridgeport.
And then
25 minutes
and
left.
continues on bars. Not so bad on bars. Some form that they can clean up. Some detailed work. And so not quite on top of the bar, and that's what you want to see. Again, that leg separation on the bail down to a handstand. So when you transition from the high bar to the low bar, the better control, the higher the score you'll get. Full turn connected to the dismount. Again, bonus points coming from that. If you're not just going straight out of a giant into your dismount, but you add that full turn right before, you're going to get that bonus 10th of a point.
And back over to Yale on the floor routine, Rebecca Chong. Junior from Virginia hopes to help lead Yale to a victory this afternoon.
And pay attention to her first pass, very difficult. Double pike, too much energy.
She took several steps back. I think she even went out of bounds.
So just completing the double pike today. You can feel she had a lot of energy and a lot of power on that first pass, almost too much as she just couldn't control it. Chong, one of the better tumblers on the Yale team, especially on the floor exercise. She struggled a bit in their last meet against the University of New Hampshire at a 9.125. That was very out of character for Chong. Before that, she had a 9.85. Finish up with a double back. A difficult 3 jump series back to back to back. Except for that first pass where she lost her footing a bit, had too much power, too much energy, she couldn't control. She had a very good routine. And you can count that as another hit for Yale.
Finished with a big smile on her face. Take a look at Sarah Murphy up for Springfield on the balance beam.
Cat leap switch side. And on those jumps, you're looking for control, you're looking for straight legs, you're looking for 180-degree split as well. Step out, yeah, step out. The most common flight series that you will see at the collegiate level.
Sarah Murphy set a season high on the beam last week, 9.575.
Dancing through and breathing through this routine as well, trying to keep herself calm. Way to hang on to that. The beam is really the most mental parts of the gymnastics for women. Gainer full off the side. The stuck landing.
Alyssa Firth now for Yale's second to last athlete that will count towards the scores for the Bulldogs.
We talk about consistency in scores. She has nothing lower this season than a 9.725, a high of a 9.875. Big score for Alyssa Firth. Solid first pass.
And Yale will need something like that. Bridgeport put together a very solid vault rotation. Yale needs about 1.5 points more than the Purple Knights if they want to overtake them and win the Don Tonry Invitational.
A lot of height on that jump sequence. Front layout, front full, front Rudy. What I like about Firth is, again, just becoming an all-arounder, looking good on all 4 events. She competes so well as well. She practices at 120% in practice, and it shows out here in competition.
Ends her routine right on the beat as well. Nice rotation for Alyssa Firth for the Bulldogs. She is the all-around performer this afternoon for Yale. Came into that event with a 28.275 through the first three. Pressure's on right now for the Bulldogs. Their final athlete to go in this floor exercise, Kiara Elaine. Last year, Yale won the Don Tonry Invitational by a margin of 0.05 over Bridgeport. And it looks like it will be just as close this year between these two teams based on the fourth rotation.
Springfield hanging on beam. Springfield, the only Division III program in this quad meet. They compete in the NCGA, the National Collegiate Gymnastics Association. That's their governing body. Composed of 14 different teams, but they get the experience here competing against teams like Yale and Bridgeport and SCSU, where you're building on that experience and you can carry that to your national competition at the end of the season.
And although you are competing against other schools in the meet today, you're also just competing against yourself, trying to get a better score for yourself and your program week in and week out, so that when you do have to go to those postseason meets and championship type meets, as a team, you're focused and ready to go. You're not worried about the other schools.
What a strong first pass for Elaine. Double back. Practically stuck. And she can, again, put up a big score on the floor exercise. Front layout, front full. Dances right out of it. Tries to avoid that deduction if you don't stick it. She has a lot of fun in her floor routine. She got to combine this season some of her music from her freshman year. She said she's been waiting for this, a little Beyonce in it as well. Last year she had some Michael Jackson moves in the middle of her floor routine, so she likes to put on a show, especially at home. One tumbling pass left. Again, controlled, reliable, inbounds. The senior captain for Yale, getting it done on floor.
Well, it's a kiss at the end, right towards the judges. Had over a 9.8 last week in the floor routine. Looked to be another solid rotation for Kiara Elaine here. Just Anna Jennings left to go for Yale. The exhibition routine on the floor exercise. And we are almost all set as well on the balance beam now for Springfield. It's Jessica Clemens.
Jessica Clemens also has beautiful lines. You'll see her legs are always stick straight. She has beautiful toe point. Left hand swing layout, step out. Almost off, but she is able to use those monkey toes, we call them, just grip the side of the beam and hang on. She's just a little off center.
She is the all-around performer for Springfield this afternoon.
Switch lead. Split jump. A true competitor. She's very athletic. Handspring, step out, 1.5, twist, finish off.
Jessica Clemens all set for Springfield. Now they just have their final exhibition routine to go as well. That'll be Leah Jewett in just a few moments. Here's Anna Jennings set for Yale's exhibition routine.
Anna Jennings, also the sports information director for the Yale Gymnastics program. So doubling up on her responsibilities for Yale Gymnastics.
You know, she'll have that insider info when you need it.
Exactly.
Stepped out of
She was
bounds
injured a bit last year, unable to compete.
because she was off the blue onto the white.
This year she's earned herself a spot in the vault lineup and is working on floor as well. And right now in an exhibition, you're not looking for them to stick their landings. You don't want to risk an injury when the score doesn't count. You just want them to learn how to compete in this environment, to see what your routine is going to get scored by the judges. And it's really all just a learning experience here. So you don't expect these exhibitions to be perfect. You don't expect stuck landings.
Is that difficult at all for the athlete when it comes time for competition and they have to stick the landing after not having to practice it during this exhibition routine?
A bit, but a lot of it is again about preserving the bodies of the athletes. And when you are trying to stick a landing, a lot more goes into that, and you do have the risk of injuring your ankle and so forth. So you don't necessarily practice sticks during practice. But I liked that routine from Anna Jennings, and you can tell she had a lot of fun with it.
Finally here, this is Leah Jewett completing the final exhibition exercise of the afternoon on the balance beam. She is the final athlete to compete this afternoon. We'll have final scores following the completion of this beam event.
Exhibitions are also a chance for the athletes to prove to their coaches that they're ready to compete in the lineup. So sometimes the athlete will put more pressure on themselves during an exhibition, just knowing that you are fighting for a spot in the top 6. So exhibitions are actually used for a variety of reasons. You're coming back from an injury, you're working on getting into the lineup, or you're just working on competing in this environment.
Well, that completes our athletes' rotations on the floor this afternoon. All the exhibitions, everything has been completed. The judges are tallying up those final scores to see who will take first place this year at the Downtown Invitational. Last year was a really close race between Yale and Bridgeport. It went Yale, Bridgeport, Southern, and Springfield. Who knows, maybe the scores this year will be a little different. We'll compare the final results when we come back. You're watching the Ivy League on
Visit my website at
now the most exciting tech
join visitors from all over the region and explore more than 60 shops and restaurants, plus world-renowned museums, galleries, and theaters. For more information, visit the shops at Yale.com.
There is Handsome Dan for Yale University making his presence felt here at the
What a
John J. Lee
cute little
Amphitheater.
dog.
Everybody wants a chance
Bulldog.
to meet up with Walter this afternoon. I think, Allison, he's probably the most popular guy in the building when he is, and of course, everybody always loves a live mascot. University of Georgia has it, Texas has it, and Handsome Dan, one of the most storied live mascots in all of college sports, as we are set to hear the results at the Downtown Invitational this afternoon. It was a back-and-forth battle primarily between Yale and Bridgeport throughout the first 3 events. We have yet to receive the scores for the 4th event, which means we cannot yet give you the final scores or the top 3 finishers in any event either. But we do have some highlights from the last rotation.
Look,
Allison,
all
why
the
don't you walk us through
gymnasts
that?
are
A
sitting
lot of good
around
gymnastics happening in this 4th
on
rotation
the
for Southern
floor.
Connecticut on bars. They look
Spring
solid. A good double layout, nearly
floor.
stuck dismount there for the Owls. And on beam, I mean, I thought Springfield just looked very solid on beam. A good standing tuck. And Bridgeport working to keep their lead on vault. They had a lot of good Uchenko fulls, a couple pike downs, but overall solid on vault. They only had to count 1 fall on that exercise for Bridgeport. So again, they're really trying hard to hang on to their lead. We haven't got those final scores in, but Yale put up a big fight on floor. They hit all their routines. They did such a great job at keeping the energy up, really getting the crowd involved, and Alyssa Firth competing the all-around for Yale. Elaine, the senior captain, finishing as the anchor on floor with a strong routine. So it will be interesting to see how close it ends up between the Purple Knights of Bridgeport as well as the Bulldogs of Yale. And here. The final scores just in.
Yeah, now we do get those final scores.
So
And
Bridgeport did
after
beat
finishing second to
Yale.
Yale last year, they take the title this year, 194.2. The Purple Knights beat Yale by just over a margin of 1 point. Bulldogs finished 193-175. SCSU a close third, 192-350. And rounding out the order, Springfield 188-2, which is more than 2 points better than they had last year in this meet, as well as the season high. SCSU last year finished in the 191 range, so they improved their score. Yale about a point lower than last year in Bridgeport, right about the same as their score total from this event last year. So all around a very solid meet and a very competitive meet from top to bottom as well throughout all 4 rotations. Never really had a grasp for who was in front or behind.
And all teams making some improvements in this meet, really except for Yale. Yale, a season-low team score, but the other teams have made vast improvements. Springfield getting a new season high, SCSU getting a new season high, and Bridgeport just under their season high of 195 from their last meet just about a week ago. So a lot of good gymnastics happening here, good improvements. Again, we're still pretty early on in the season. We're nearing that mid-range in the upcoming weeks, but that's where you want to get those quirks out, get everything working, keep everyone healthy, most importantly, and really embrace the competition environment.
Exactly. Still a lot of gymnastics and gymnastics meets still left this season for all 4 squads that are here this afternoon. They're waiting to hear the results. Everybody is sitting around the floor routine area. It was very competitive meet, like we've been talking. Of course, a couple of new season highs as well. When you talk about just the overall meet, were there any performances that stood out completely to you, Allison? I know for me, one of the highest scores we've seen all day was Maya Reimers for Bridgeport on the floor. She had a very solid routine overall. That was a 9-9, nearly perfect.
Nearly perfect, and she just got everyone involved, especially her teammates. She had high passes, she had really good landings, not perfect, but so close to perfect that she was able to pull out that 9.9, which was huge for Bridgeport, and one of the biggest reasons why they were able to hang on to that lead and come away with the first place spot here at the Don Tonry Invitational. But what really stuck out to me was bars for Yale. I thought Yale did a great job on bars today, especially with Roxanne Trachtenberg.
Friendly or unfriendly, depending on how some of these other teams compete week in and week out, but they'll be on the road for the next few weeks as well. In fact, Southern only has 1 more home meet on the season. That is against Bridgeport in their senior day meet on March 16th. They'll be at Brown next week to face Springfield and Rhode Island once again, and then actually going up to Springfield to face Springfield 3 straight weeks in a row.
A lot of gymnastics to be had in the upcoming week.
Peace out, YouTube.
In main menu, home button, 1 of 8.
If you haven't already done so, hit the big red button and subscribe. Peace out, YouTube.